Hi, friends. Hello, love. Hello, love. What a full morning we've had. Beautiful. This is a poem by Hafiz. It's called A Great Need. Out of a great need, we are all holding hands and climbing. Not loving is a letting go. Listen, the terrain around here is far too dangerous for that. Out of a great need, we are all holding hands and climbing. Not loving is a letting go. Listen, the terrain around here is far too dangerous for that. Yeah? And this is from Hearth. Agni Yoga's Heart. After our daily labors, let us gather to discourse about the heart. It will lead us beyond the domains of earth toward the subtle world in order to bring us closer to the sphere of fire. After our daily labors, let us gather to discourse about the heart. And to tell you the truth, friends, I feel like I've been giving one long talk for the last 10 years. Right? Doesn't it? You know, for those of us that have come again and again, and we all refine our themes, and we all build upon our themes, and we all hopefully live more and more the themes of what we talk about. And I also particularly feel today that the torch has been handed off. You know, my talk is called Embodying the Hearth, Igniting the Heart of Humanity. And if those couldn't ask for a better sort of warm-up act, right? I'm like, okay, game on, let's talk about it, right? So, I love the word hearth. You might have heard me even say it before. It is a word that contains multitudes. Think about this word. The first 5 letters are heart. If we start with the second letter and finish the word, it's E-A-R-T-H, earth, right? It's the heart and the earth in one word. It's asking, how can we embody the heart on this earth? It's asking us about the heart of the earth. It's asking us to consider what a hearth is. Yeah? And in this word, heat, art, hear, tear, tear, hate. So hearth asks us to contemplate the heat of the heart of the earth, the art of the heart of the earth. How can we transmute hate through the heat of the earth? It's kind of stunning. I mean, it's kind of beautiful. And you know, it's so funny. It's sort of an antiquated word, you know, come and sit by my hearth, you know. But on the other hand, it's so evocative. The definition of the word hearth, Merriam-Webster dictionary, so great, right? 3 different definitions. The first one, fireplace, or even the brick floor of a fireplace, nice and concrete. Second one, home. Third one, vital or creative center. I was like, where'd this come from, Merriam-Webster dictionary? I was like, so you think about that. It's perfect, right? It's personality, soul, spirit. It's the fireplace personality. It's the home soul. It's the vital or creative center spirit. Yeah. So it contains multitudes. Now, when I think about a hearth, I immediately go to the Irish countryside. I really do. And I think of a cottage. And I think of a fire burning with a big kettle filled with soup. And I think of a storm a-brewing outside. And I think of someone in the little cabin by themselves, making the soup, and maybe even playing the fiddle, right? And I think of a knock at the door, and the stranger comes in from outside, and there he is welcomed, there she is welcomed into the hearth. And then the miracle occurs, then the beauty occurs, because she is welcomed, she is nourished, she is fed, he is welcomed, he is nourished, he is fed on so many levels. He is offered the soup. She has the discussion that changes her life, because there's something about this cottage and this hearth and this time out of time where you can have a conversation that changes your life. You talk till 3 a.m, it's time out of time. You walk out after having been in this hearth and you're altered. You hear music that transmutes everything in you to something lighter and better. You're warmed. So I still want to go to Ireland. So I want to go live in Ireland for a summer. It's going to happen. And I'm going to find that little cottage. But truly, you can feel that as I talk about that with you, right? And, you know, I want this whole talk, I want it to be an experience with you. I want you to listen, yes, but I also want you to palpably feel it. And I want you to presence your heart as you listen, because that's what we're talking about. And I'd rather not just talk about it. I'd rather have us be right there with the flickering light. So, of course, there are modern day hearths, right? Now, I have a tiny kitchen. We have a tiny kitchen in our house. And what happens at a party? 72 people are in the kitchen, and 3 people are sitting on the couch in the living room, right? Isn't that fascinating? The stove, maybe it's the brightness of the hearth, or the kitchen. I don't know what it is, but everybody's talking and you can't hear, and it's exciting, and you're in this beautiful hearth space. Conferences, right? Modern day hearths, where we gather around a central fire and we share the stories, where we share the wisdom, where we certainly share the warmth of the heart. Yeah, I think actually of dear Marianne, who created a hearth. At every conference, her room was filled with Twizzlers and pretzel sticks, and you'd go in and you'd have good food. You'd go in and have yummy things, and she would say, "Come in," and we would talk about the day or how the conference was. So Marianne always created hearth, and you know, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the invitation of hearth and the becoming hearth. And to me, they're 2 different things, and they're equally beautiful. But the invitation of hearth is that every person in this room can create a hearth space. Yeah? We have a backyard, and we do what we call backyard illuminations. And we invite people into the backyard, and we have salons, and we offer poetry and talks, and people sing, and we offer community. And people come and they say, "This is Los Angeles?" I mean, you know, like, this doesn't feel like Los Angeles. And this is one of the ways. I have Jupiter in Cancer in the 12th house. I like to create little, nourishing homes, right? But this is one of the ways that we create hearth with our home. But every single one of you, now, I would say that not everyone is ready to create hearth. You know, some of us are needing to sit in front of the fire a while longer. But I would say everyone in this room is ready to create a hearth. And then the question becomes, what kind of hearth are you going to create? We have many needs. And there are those of you that will create a hearth, create a fire for those physical needs that need to be met in humanity. People need houses, people need to be fed, right? And there are people out in the trenches that are saying, I will create the hearth of a nonprofit that will address these issues, right? So it's like tactile, it's out there, it's concrete, it's, let's do this on the physical plane. There are those of you that will create at, let's for now say the emotional level, the higher astral, that will go out and say, I am going to create a healing center, or an enlightened psychological center where you enter and you're nourished by this flame. And you will leave, or at that same level, I will create a theater, I will create an art gallery where you walk in and it is elevating and you're nourished at this level of, we could say, the solar plexus to the heart. And then there are those of us that are lighting our hearth in the name of wisdom and education at the mental level. That's too simplistic, but you get the idea that in fact, we each can choose the way in which we want to ignite heart and hearth. And another very important point, we've talked a lot about pressure, and we've talked a lot about the need to work, and we do need that, and I am my father's daughter, so I must absolutely offer the opposite suggestion and say to you, this is also from Hearth, a wise host does not light all fires without special purpose. It is not stated anywhere that the fire burnt continuously. It rose according to need. So by that, I just mean to say, we don't have to be like, I have a healing center and I will never leave. Do you know, I will, right? I will exhaust every last ounce. I will be on the floor dead before, right? We don't need to do that. Yeah? I love you, Dad. That a wise host, right? A wise host does not light all fires without special purpose. So look at this beautiful dance with what is lit. We have a pilot light of the heart. So, Sophia, my dear teacher and friend, would always say, who is beating your heart? You're not beating your heart. Who's beating your heart? Likewise, who has ignited your heart? You didn't ignite your heart. Who ignited your heart? But your heart is lit, hallelujah, and you can turn it up at any moment, and you can have it blazing when it needs to blaze, and you can have it quiet when it needs to be quiet, and you actually need to rest and restore. So you meet according to the need. And in any given day, there's need. There might be, we need right now, and then now I'm going back to my room and lying down on the bed and staring at the ceiling, right? We all need that too. So I'm interested in this moment now of, let's take us back to the Irish cottage, and let's let our stranger leave, nourished, fed, bundled back up. Out into the cold he goes, but he's warm now. He's had a good whiskey. His insides are, a whiskey of the spirit, shall we say. And he's left, and now the host is with the fire and stares at the fire and says, I've created this fire. I created this hearth. But there's a magical moment when we're ready to breathe the hearth into our heart and become that. Right? When we're ready to say that I can light all the hearths, I can create the hearths and do the service work and do the good work on all these levels. But shall we state the obvious? Through being, I will do my greatest work, or I will do great work. The doing is absolutely essential, but also becoming the hearth. And even just in this moment as you're listening, becoming the hearth. What does it feel like to presence this flicker? I think about Nateri dancing as the flame at the center of the heart, right? What does it feel like to walk, or the sun at the center of the chest? And to let that be certainly a huge part of our service work, our beingness, the quality of our being, what we cultivate, what we, once we become the hearth, we have the purificatory fires. We have the fiery furnace. You better believe it's not all joy. It's burning away. It's joy that comes through the burning away. So becoming the hearth isn't just a lovely thing, and it's obviously back and forth, but let's just say we stand and we say there's a moment of I am. There's a moment where we say I am a vital creative center. And like a wise host, I will decide who needs what at what moment and how I will show up in any room when I will turn up the heat. But this energy of becoming. And the beauty of how we're all connected. And Michael says, I woke up this morning thinking about heart and the first paragraph of Heart, which is what I'm going to read to you again, because I think it's sort of providential that we met this way. And this is my PowerPoint, Sharpie, and a piece of paper. Okay. But listen, from that place of becoming, from that place of the vital creative center, just listen to these first few sentences. And, eyes, you don't have to close your eyes, but really, to behold with the eyes of the heart. To behold with the eyes of the heart. To listen to the ears of the heart, to the roar of the world, to peer into the future with the comprehension of the heart. This is an energetic thing. We're talking about a feeling thing. It's nothing to do with our sight. To peer into the future with the comprehension of the heart. To remember the accumulations of the past through the heart. What have I been through? I can feel that. I can feel where I'm going. Thus must one impetuously advance on the path of ascent. Sometimes too many words, but yes. So to behold, to hear. What is it to hear with the heart? When I hear with the heart, I sometimes hear just a quiet catching of a breath. I sometimes hear a mockingbird. I sometimes hear a silent yearning, a silent need. And I can respond to that in a very different way than, the language we sometimes use. And I think David spoke to that. I think Michael spoke to that. That it's a different language sometimes. The language of the heart is a different language. And it's tactile and it's full of feeling. So just that phrase, to listen with the ears of the heart, to the roar of the world, and then to listen within. So, becoming the heart, listening within. Listening to the heart is meditative, right? Listening to the heart is often quieting and just aligning with the flame. So this is a poem called The Word, and it's by Tony Hoagland, who is a new favorite poet of mine. It was so lovely. My writing teacher brought in a poem by him, and I had such a response to it. I wrote for 15 minutes after I just was so filled with joy about this poem. And as people are so lovely, the next week, one of my classmates brought me his whole book of poetry. And, I was just so touched by it. But he is a beautiful poet. And without saying too much about this poem, just feel this poem. Down near the bottom of the crossed out list of things you have to do today, between green thread and broccoli, you find that you have penciled sunlight. Resting on the page, the word is as beautiful. It touches you as if you had a friend and sunlight were a present he had sent you from some place distant as this morning. To cheer you up and to remind you that among your duties, pleasure is a thing that also needs accomplishing. Do you remember that time and light are kinds of love, and love is no less practical than a coffee grinder or a safe spare tire? Tomorrow, you may be utterly without a clue. But today, you get a telegram from the heart in exile, proclaiming that the kingdom still exists, the king and queen alive, still speaking to their children, to anyone among them who can find the time to sit out in the sun and listen. Part of becoming the heart, becoming the hearth whereby people want to come and sit near you and just have a hand on you or just be with you, is your ability to not just blaze forth, but to sit in the sunlight and listen. I'm getting better at that. But, because again, we can, when we went on our Hello Love tour, some of you know about the Hello Love tour in 2007, when we went out to many, many, many different cities and we held little Hello Love signs on all different street corners. And, we had this idea of hello love, greeting love, and it was beautiful, and it is beautiful. And we also had a sort of perhaps misplaced idea that in order to have this communion around love, we had to sort of beam it out. We were like, hello, love. Ah! You know, you, love for you, right? And we got exhausted like day 3, and we sort of looked at each other and started fighting in the RV, and we're plastered with hello, love. It was humbling, my friends. It was humbling. It was truly humbling. In the last 7 years, however, or no, wait, 9 years, yeah, this idea that the hello love is so much quieter, right? So much quieter. It's a softness, and it's a communion, and it's a silent hello love to everyone and everything you meet. So, you know, hello love, meet someone's eyes, think silently, hello love, risk and repeat and see what happens, is what we always say. Risk and repeat. Yeah, the willingness to stand quietly with yourself, to sit quietly with yourself, to allow yourself to be a vessel so that you're not doing the whole tap dance, but you're actually a conduit for the love that wants to pour through. Now, we've been talking about a lot about love, and hallelujah, like this is wonderful that we're talking about it this much at this conference. It's the answer to it all. But of course, sometimes when we're in that becoming the hearth, we also, you know, sometimes we're in our own little Irish cottage and we find ourselves walking out of the door into the cold, leaving the hearth behind. And it's either, sometimes it's through some great grief, sometimes it's through some great disillusionment. You know, we're not always just, obviously we know this, in this easeful flow. And so what about these moments? What about these burning grounds? What about these times of utter isolation? What about these times when we feel bereft? When the cottage that is who we are is far gone and we're in the middle of a windy plain and it's dark and there's no one around. And we all know that. We know that in a moment in a day, somebody, you know, says something that cuts us off, or, you know, we know that in big ways when we have incredible loss. But what about those moments? And I think it's so important to acknowledge those moments, because otherwise it just becomes overly idealistic and we feel so like, I just have to love, I just have to, you know, whatever it is. But we have to take in all the difficulty as well. And this is a new favorite poem of mine that I think speaks to this so, so beautifully. It's by Ellen Bass, and it's called The Thing Is. The thing is to love life, to love it even when you have no stomach for it. And everything you've held dear crumbles like burnt paper in your hands, your throat filled with the silt of it. When grief sits with you, its tropical heat thickening the air, heavy as water, more fit for gills than lungs. When grief weights you like your own flesh, only more of it, an obesity of grief, you think, how can a body withstand this? Then, you hold life like a face between your palms, a plain face, no charming smile, no violet eyes. And you say, yes, I will take you. I will love you again. Then you hold life like a face between your palms, a plain face, no charming smile, no violet eyes, and you say, yes, I will take you. I will love you again. And what touches me so deeply about that is that it's a practice. It's a practice. And when you say, I will take you, when you hold the face of your life, it's not out of any great idealism. It's out of the sense that in order to continue to to be who you want to be and give what you want to give, you have to take one tiny step forward towards the light. And even if that face looks plain and unappealing, or plain and not magnetic, or plain and not radiant, you say, I will hold you. And that happens through breath. And that happens through a still moment. And that happens through a touch. And that happens through a softening. And that happens through a surrender. And that happens through yes, yes. Yes, yes. It happens through the yes, yes of the soul. And the yes, yes might be yes, yes. And then through the practice, you either start to walk back to that cottage that becomes who you are. Do you know? I build a lighted house and therein dwell. And I think it's this beautiful, this Cancerian Leo thing, right? I build a lighted house and therein dwell. You become the hearth so that you can say in Leo, I am that and that am I, so that you can share the fires of the heart. So just so important to remember, again, this idea of moderation, and this idea that when we have lost our way, it's not some great dramatic gesture that's going to change things. It's not like, it's not like, laying it down in the sand, although for some Scorpios it might be that. But it is the tiny gesture, the tiny taking of the face. And even that image, I just want you to hold that image when you're most bereft, is like hold the face of your life again. Yeah. So I wrote a poem once that was another way of saying this. And I've read it to you before, but I'm going to read it to you again because poetry seeps in and you like to hear it again. You're like, I know that poem, and then you can hear it in a whole new way. And it's called What to Do with Sadness. When sadness lingers, when loneliness creeps in to sit beside you and will not leave, when you can no longer feel a spark of joy in even a hidden corner, find something, anything that is burning. A star, a porch lamp, a candle on the table. Then imagine that light at the center of your chest and remember you are molten love. The only thing to do with sadness is to introduce it to indestructible beauty, to the flame of love present in every living thing. Start with a morning glory or a sparrow. Start with the spirited eyes of the woman who serves you coffee. Start with a poem. Say sadness, meet cherry blossom. Despair, meet the Ninth Symphony. Grief, meet the eyes of a child. Then be very, very quiet and let them converse for a time. Despair, meet the Ninth Symphony. Grief, meet the eyes of a child. There are fires burning that help to uplift when these meet, when the conversation can occur with the heart wide open and beauty present. And again, the tiny gestures that make all the difference. So, there's a poem called Vacillation that has been in our little family for many years. And my little son, Dylan, when he was 3 years old, recited it, memorized for the first time, and you'll laugh when you hear the first line of it. And he just stood up at a party and he recited this poem. And my husband has recited this poem many times. And it's a beautiful and perfect poem, and I love it. So it's a poem that lives in our family and that we like to share. And I want to share this poem with you as a final, punctuation on the idea of becoming, embodying the hearth. Because when we embody the hearth, what do? We ignite the hearts of humanity. And as we each become our hearths, the great fire blazes. It's redemptive, it's transformative, it's beautiful, it's warm, it's all those things. So, as a final little vacillation, and this is by Yeats. My 50th year had come and gone. He was so cute. My 50th year, he was so cute. My 50th year had come and gone. I sat, a solitary man, in a crowded London shop, an open book, an empty cup, on the marble tabletop. While on the shop and street I gazed, my body of a sudden blazed. And 20 minutes more or less, it seemed so great, my happiness, that I was blessed and could bless. Thank you, loves. Thank you. And one little addendum, which I would like to share with you, is just that I have created what I would like to call a sort of online hearth. And it's called E-Nourishment for the Soul, 10 Days of Uncommon Joy. And it's 10 days that you get to soak in particular qualities of the soul. And you can just go to my website, HeidiRose.com, and you can sign up. You can do it anytime. It's writing, it's poetry, and it's an online hearth. I think we can use the internet in a new way. And I think that we can actually create intimacy and love and hearths online. So it's just called 10 Days of Uncommon Joy, and it's yes.
I'm 2 days behind, but I did this day 5 yesterday, and this is a marvelous thing to do. So just a little personal testimony here.
Yay. He's so lovely. He was like, he came to me and he said, day 5. And I was like, day 5. But day 5, yes. Yes, it comes directly from Sophia, actually, day 5, which is, there's a rain of grace forever falling upon us.